There's going to be discussion on the 20th sanctions package, but as you all know, I think there is not going to be progress regarding this today, but we will definitely make this push. Then also the discussion about, what should we talk to the Russians about. It's clear that the pressure so far has been on Ukraine when it comes to the peace talks, but it's clear that it has to be on Russian side because they are the aggressor in this war, and if we want this wars to stop, if we want this not to go any further, then we also need to see concessions from the Russian side. That's also very clear. And then, of course, we will discuss also the 90 billion loan, how it should be pushed forward, but let's see how that works out. And then we have the Middle East. We have Nikolai Mladenov coming to talk to us. We want to be part of the peace process in Gaza and also contribute with what we have. We have the EUBAM Rafah border crossing mission, and we have the EUPOL COPS in order to disarm Hamas. It has to be the Palestinian police, and there the EUPOL COPS could be very handy. We have had agreements also on the with Jordan and Egypt, how we can best do this, but we also need the approval from the Israeli side. And then we will also discuss Syria, the developments in northeast Syria, and what concerns are there. And then after that, we will also touch briefly on points like Venezuela and issues that other member states want to raise. Thank you.
Representative, do we want to be a negotiator with Russia from the EU? We want to have this position. We want to be postponed of discussion who should be a negotiator from the EU with Russia, and you are high representative.
Yeah, I think more important than who talks to Russia is what we want to talk them about, and that's why these concessions that we need to see whoever talks to Russia, whether bilaterally or as representative of Europe as such, needs to also ask these questions, what Russia is willing to concede. Because if you ask a lot, you get little. If you ask little, you get nothing. And if you ask nothing, you will pay on top. That's very clear. So let's focus on what kind of concessions we want to see from the Russian side, not who is bringing those concessions to the table.
What size of Russian army is ideal for this negotiation?
Well, it's not up to me to say, but the point is that if there are limitations on the Ukrainian army, there should also be limitations on the Russian army, because they are actually the problem here. But it's of course up to the discussions.
After the ceasefire in Syria right now, what message do you have for the President Ahmed Shar and the Kurdish leader Mazlum Abdi?
Well, we have the ceasefire, and of course it's very fragile. So we need those forces to work together to bring about the inclusive government and really reconciliation of the country. And we are willing to help in this regard as much as we can. So also regarding institution building, today we're going to also discuss whether time is ripe to have high-level political dialogue with Syria to address all these concerns.
How do you want about what Mr. Witkoff said? You seem pessimistic, but he seemed optimistic, saying that he expected breakthrough in the coming weeks and possible summits between Putin and Zelensky and maybe Trump. How do you see this optimistic going on? Do you have the same level of optimism?
Looking at the signs, I don't share this optimism, because the negotiators on the Russian side are not really serious, and they are not willing to talk about anything political. So, of course, we have seen a lot of pressure on Ukraine to concede and give up what they are not willing to give up. but it doesn't bring long-term peace. So I'm not that optimistic that we will see any results in coming weeks and months.
How do you respond to U.S. counterparts about the escalating situation in Iran?
Yes, the situation in Iran, of course, is very intense. So we don't need another war in this region. We already have a lot. So we have stressed the diplomatic way out of this. So we are also willing to contribute, and it's not only the nuclear issue, but it's also the ballistic missile program and the other worries we have with Iran. It is true that Iran is at its weakest point that they have been. We should be really using this time to find a diplomatic solution.
The 20 sanctions package. You said that there will be today will not pass on. So what kind of signal does this give for years after the start?
No, we are of course doing our utmost to have this sanctions package to push this through, and I've talked to the member states who are also going to raise this and convince the countries who are blocking, and we are also looking ways how we can do it. But as we have heard some very strong statements from Hungary, that's why I don't really see that they are going to change this, unfortunately, today, this position that they have.
How are you going to convince them? Like, what compromises are on the table to bring it over the line with Hungary?
Well, we have heard from the media their problems that they have that are totally not related to the 20th sanctions package. So I think we shouldn't tie together things that are not connected to each other at all. But let's listen to them explaining what are the reasons why they are blocking, and then see whether there are possibilities to overcome.
High Representative, speaking about negotiations with Russia, about your proposal or idea, can you confirm that your idea also to request to speak about withdrawal of Russia's troops from occupied territories, for example, for us from Georgia, and also, please, can you estimate situation in Georgia? Situation goes worse in the world.
Yes, it is true that Russia has occupied a lot of territories, and their forces are in different parts when it comes to Georgia, when it comes to Moldova. So yes, it would be clear to have a long-term peace that they would withdraw from all the occupied territories where they are. Of course, some say these demands are not realistic, but let's be honest, the demands from the Russian side are not realistic at all. I mean, they are demanding the territories that they haven't conquered even militarily by diplomatic means. So this is in order to a bit balance the negotiation situation and really bring the focus on the problem, which is Russia continuing to attack its neighbors. Thank you very much.
Good morning, everyone. And this is the last meeting before the 4-year anniversary of Russia's full-scale Russian aggression against Ukraine. So tomorrow we are entering the 5th year of the war, and there is no more important discussion than today. The decision-making has to be there. So we are fully committed both to the 20th sanctions package, strong, including maritime services ban, but also political commitment, economic commitment, military commitment to support European values of freedom, sovereignty, territorial integrity of Ukraine. So Russia's war has to be ended in a peace that is just, in a peace that is lasting. And Latvia, as a member of UN Security Council, will deliver that message tomorrow at the UNSC. The second part of everything is, of course, that Russia's war is failing. Moving with 15 meters a day, or not, as we have seen, Ukraine has recovered significant territory. quite clearly shows that Russia is not achieving its strategic objectives on the battlefield. So we should not let them achieve that at the negotiations table. So we stand fully behind Ukraine, and we also think that Europe should be at the negotiations table, because nobody else but Europe decides for European principles and European values. So that is a message we deliver both to our Ukrainian friends and to our American friends. We are stronger together if we stand together also at the negotiations table. And for Ukraine to be strong at the negotiations table, they need military aid. They need air defenses, because, yes, drones are doing some damage, but it's the missiles, Russian cruise missiles, ballistic missiles, that do the most damage. So air defense systems, but also long-range strikes into Russia to make sure that legitimate military objects are effective. And third, unity, unity, unity. European unity, global unity, showing to Russia that they are not succeeding anywhere. And that means the votes in the UNGA. On Tuesday we have the vote on the Ukrainian resolution. But that also means continuing not electing Russia into international leadership positions in the organizations. And weakening Russian economy, Russian capability on the battlefield, the peace is within reach. That's my message today.
Would you like the chance to get these sanctions through in time for the anniversary, though?
We will get them through.
Minister, you said that we have to show that Russia is not succeeding, but
Russia is not succeeding.
While we have Hungary and Slovakia, specifically Hungary in this union, it looks like Russia succeeds, because we hear that they ban sanction package, they ban a loan for Ukraine. What to do with these countries, specifically?
The loan is true, so that will be proceeding quite clearly. There are certain technical arrangements that is for later to be decided, but the loan is there, and we will deal with the sanctions package.
Minister, can you emphasize what's one specific commitment your country is doing right now to prevent 5th anniversary?
Well, what Latvia is doing is everything that we can. We just delivered another package of energy support, and we are preparing another one, including we are literally moving thermoelectric station that has been dismantled in Latvia, that we don't need anymore, that is being transferred. But also militarily, we are just announced another Pearl commitment for exactly the American capabilities that are the most efficient against the Russian missiles, but also humanitarian support. The Latvian public TV is running very wide, large public campaign to gather donations and to bring what is needed to the front and to the people. The same is done by private TVs, by NGOs, by businesses. So it's all across the board. That is what we are doing, and we'll continue doing so.
Minister, you mentioned that Europe should be at the negotiation table, but who should represent Europe? Is it should be like special envoy or like?
Well, we have European representatives. That's why we have the leadership of the EU. So it's pretty straightforward in our case.
Minister, we saw in the draft of this sanctions 20th package seaport in the territory of Georgia. Also, we see the numbers of oil delivery from Georgia for last months. Will you support this decision? And also, how do you estimate the situation in Georgia, the deterioration?
I cannot comment on classified discussions, so I'm not going to do that on particularities. And situation in Georgia, I think you have heard me saying that I think Georgian people deserve the government respecting their European choice, which is not happening currently.
Sir, after 4 years of the war between Russia and Ukraine, what's the future of the Ukrainian refugees in Europe?
Well, we are hosting a large number of Ukrainian refugees. They are partially integrating well, but of course they all want to live back in democratic, safe, sovereign Ukraine, and that is our obligation, I think, for all of us to make sure that those people can return to Ukraine that is democratic, sovereign, and free.
So some of them, they want to stay in Europe.
The mobility nowadays, as we all know ourselves, we can live part of the year. That's part of the freedom in Europe. We can live in one place, work in another place, study, and then go back. So it's not Soviet Union, which limited people to be moving around. I thank you.
Thank you.
They start to talk about the necessity to talk directly to Russia. Some would suggest that Mr. Costa should be given a kind of mandate to negotiate in the name of the EU. Do you think it's the time? What do you think about the idea?
I think as Chancellor Merz said in Munich speech, where he described that there was a leader of one of European states who went to Moscow before at the start of the war and came back quite shattered. So currently we don't see any indications that Russia wants peace, that there is move towards peace, so we don't see the ability for Europe to talk with Russia. In the same time, of course, we have multilateral negotiations, Ukraine, US and Russia, and Europe should be at that table because there are European interests in there, and only Europe decides for European interests.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you. Munich speech, where he described that there was a leader.
Labas rytas.
Aš pirmiausia gal klausimų, kol neužmiršau kitų, nes šiandienos dėl JAV muitų girdėjome aukščiausiojo teismo sprendimą ir į tai reaguojant Trumpas įvedė 15% papildomus visam pasauliui. Kokia yra Lietuvos pozicija?
Mes tikimės, kad Jungtinės Amerikos valstijos laikysis susitarimo, kuris buvo pasiektas rugpjūčio mėnesį 25 metais. Ir žinome, kad mūsų pusėje tie darbai vyksta Europos parlamente. Tikimės, kad ir Amerikos pusėje jie bus finalizuoti. Ir nebeįsivelsime dar į vieną eskalaciją susijusią su muitais.
O šiaip tas susitarimas palenda po tų aukščiausiojo teismo sprendimų, ar čia atskiras dalykas ir jis vis tiek galioja, ar turėtų būti panaikinta kaip teismas?
Mūsų įsitikinimu jisai turėtų galioti. Vis tiek, Europos komisija investavo nemažai laiko, tai yra Europos komisijos pirmiausia kompetencija pasiekti susitarimų dėl prekybos sąlygų ir tikimės, kad jie bus įgyvendinti. Kaip Amerikos pusėje tie procesai bus organizuoti, tai jų yra pačių reikalas, bet mes tikimės, kad nereikės grįžti ir vėl iš naujo dėrėtis, nes buvo iš tikrųjų sunkiai pasiektas sprendimas.
Šiandienos aktualija buvom girdėję iš Kajos Kalas, kad iki 24 vasario bus priimtas 20 sankcijų paketas. Dabar kyla klausimas, ar tai bus padaryta. Girdime Vengrijos bloką, Slovakijos ir pietų šalis reikalauja švelnesnio to laivybos draudimo. Kokia ta situacija? Ko šiandien galima tikėtis, jeigu kažko galima tikėtis?
Šiandien tikiuosi labai atviros diskusijos, dar kartą sudėliojant taškus, apie ką yra Europos Sąjunga ir ko mes visi bendrai siekiame. Negalime tapti įkaitais, iš tikrųjų tai vienos valstybės pagrinde, kas yra susijęs su sankcijomis. Jeigu kas nors kitos šalys šiek tiek kelia konkrečius klausimus susijusius su jų įmonių tolimesnė veikla, tai mes turime Vengriją, kuri iš principo tiesiog blokuoja ir tiek. Ir karo metinėms, ketvirtosiams karo metinėms Europos Sąjungoje neturėti 20 sankcijų paketo, ambicingas jisai jau taip ar taip nėra, bet iš viso jo neturėti yra labai bloga žinia. Yra kita dar tema, tai 90 milijardų eurų dydžio paskola, kurią ir vėl Vengrija blokuoja, vilkina. Aš nesimsiu spėlioti, kiek vidaus politiniai procesai ir rinkimai Vengrijoje lemia tokius sprendimus, bet jie yra absoliučiai žalingi. Tai čia taip pat ir Europos Sąjungoje yra klausimas, ar neturėtume imtis teisinių priemonių ir užkirsti kelią tokiam manipuliavimui ir vienbalsiškumo principų ir tiesiog kažkokios kitokios darbotvarkės įgyvendinimui, kai yra tiek daug pastatyta ant kortos. Sunki ta situacija ir bus šiandien tikrai sunkus posėdis.
Žinome, kad pagrindinis Vengrijos reikalavimas leidimas družbą toliau gauti energijos išteklius. Kiek čia, manote, kad ir bus tada nusileista, bus sudarytos tos sąlygos?
Jisai nėra užblokuotas tas vamzdynas. Reikia suprasti, kokia yra situacija. Jisai buvo atakuotas Rusijos pajėgų, pažeistas, jisai yra šiuo metu remontuojamas ir taip ir į naftą neteka, teka kitais būdais. Aš tik priminsiu, kad partneriai nekartą pietų šalį siūlė Vengrijai, pats buvau liudininkas kokių 5 kartų, net su per daug detaliom, sakykime, sąlygom, kaip tas galėtų būti padaryta. Vengrijai tas netinka, nori savo rusiškos naftos, kas yra pigų, faina, gal skaniau kvepia jinai negu kad kita nafta ir tiek. Aš čia matau daug politikos ir visiškai traktuoti šalį Ukrainą, kurios yra infrastruktūra daužoma, kur žmonės neturi šildymo, kur elektros neturi ir prioritetizuoti dar ir naftotiekių taisymą tam, kad Vengrija galėtų gauti jai priimtinesnę naftą, man atrodo, čia reikia irgi šiek tiek realybėje akis pasižiūrėti. Tai yra per daug ir tai yra per įžūlų ir tai yra absoliučiai nepriimtina.
Ką daryti su tokia šalimi nare
bendrijai?
Artimiausių laikotarpių žinoma, kad reikia ieškoti spaudimo priemonių ir tai tokiu būdu spausti link kompromiso. Yra ne viena priemonė, ką ES gali padaryti per finansavimą, per tos pačius seifo pinigus, yra kitos priemonės ir reikia tą išnaudoti. O ilgesnių laikotarpių aš manau, kad mes turėtume spręsti, ar mūsų tikrai reikia 27.
Sakėte, per mažai ir dabar ambicingas tas 20 paketas. Ko Lietuva jame pasigenda? Ko nėra? Ko tikėjotės, kad bus?
Tikėjomės, kad bus pagrindinės įmonės. Tikėjomės, kad bus Rosatomas, jau nežinau, nuo kelinto paketo mes tą patį kartojame, kad bus Lukoilas. Lukoilą amerikiečiai sugeba įstraukti, mes nesugebam. Tai kas yra? Tai kodėl mes negalime net su pereinamaisiais laikotarpiais įsidėti šitų įmonių? Mes tikėjomės, kad bus ambicingesnis finansų sektoriaus sankcionavimas, 25% vis dar nėra finansų paslaugų įmonių sankcionuota. Yra ilgas sąrašas, ką mes darėme, bet aš džiaugiuosi, kad Lietuva ir vėl santykinai viena daugiausia sankcijų paketų paruošusių yra valstybių.
Ar aš teisingai suprantu, kad net ir tam laivybos draudimui, jeigu dabar jau bus pritarta tam 20 pakete, sušvelnintas negu iš pradžių pasiūlė komisija, ir kas dingsta?
Taip, dabar jisai kompromisinis variantas vis dar yra ieškomas, jisai yra nepakankamas, jisai ir mūsų tai kaip suformuluota netenkina, nes realiai mes šitoje stadijoje draudimo dar neįvedam, mes jį nukeliam šiek tiek į ateitį. Aš suprantu, kad yra didelis poveikis įmonėms, kurios užsiema laivybą, kurios teikia tas jūrinės paslaugas, tačiau mes turime matyti ir didesnį paveikslą ir galbūt su tam tikrais pereinamaisiais laikotarpiais, su konsultacijomis, su G7, galima čia surasti tas formuotės, nuo kada mes galiausiai įvedame. Nesuprantame, kad viršutinės kainos ribos nustatymas, naftos kainos ribos nustatymas nebėra efektyvi priemonė.
Paskutinis klausimas. 90 milijardų paskola. Atsimename, kai lyderiai dėl jos sutarė, Čekija, Slovakija, Vengrija buvo eliminuotos, kad kartu imtų paskolą tam, kad balsuotų už. Dabar Vengrija tai blokuoja. Kiek tai gali iš esmės komplikuoti Ukrainos finansinius pajėgumus, kai žinome, kad balandį šalis nebeturės pinigų?
Yra ne vienas teisinis politinis scenarius, kaip kada kas gali įvykti. Tai, ką išnaudoja Vengrija, jinai turi tuos įrankius, nes tai yra susijęs su daugiametė finansinė perspektyva ir šitais įrankiais manipuliuoja, būtent kaip jūs sakėte, pati nedalyvaudama pačiame procese. Kaip tą pavyks pakeisti, aš tikiuosi, kad ras komisija argumentų, kaip kad ir anksčiau buvo. Šiek tiek pastumiu, šiek tiek kažką tai duodi, bet mes šito turgų turime uždaryti. Ir čia yra visų didelis lūkestis. Nes jeigu kiekvieną sprendimą priimti, reikės kažkokias morkas dalinti kiekvienam už tai, kad dėl bendrų saugumo interesų pritartų, tai ką mums tokia ES reikalinga? Tai mums reikia tokių, kur būtų bendraminčiai, kur mes vieningai matytume vieningai grėsmių paveikslą. Ir akivaizdu, kad mes jo čia nematome. Dėl to man tai čia yra pamatinis klausimas. Ar čia tikrai mes visi turim būti ES drauge? Jeigu nepatinka, susiraskit kitą organizaciją.
Apie Baltarusiją. Kaip sekasi pratęsti sankcijas Baltarusijai?
Koreperio sprendimas jau yra. Šią savaitę tikimės, kad bus sprendimas taip pat ir vienoje iš tarybų. Greičiausiai 26. Ką darom?
Morning. Good morning. After Kaja, I think what to say, but tomorrow Estonia is celebrating 108th anniversary of our Independence Day. And actually we gained our independence during the independence war against Russia, and we were victorious. So we celebrate tomorrow this important day, but I can say as well that without European Union and NATO membership, I couldn't stand here as a representative of the free country, because unfortunately these grey areas between Russia and NATO and the European Union, they have been always like the green light for Russian aggression. We saw the Georgia 2008, and actually tomorrow we are celebrating as well the 4 years full-scale war with all the atrocities against Ukraine. Well, actually this war started already in 2014. I don't need to educate you. But what we see is that Putin is not changing the goal at all. And more attacks against the civil people. I was just in Kiev a couple of weeks ago, and the situation is really hard. But Ukrainians are fighting, and also Ukrainians winning us time. And we need to understand that we need Ukraine more than Ukraine needs us now in the meaning of the future, because we need to bring Ukraine in, we need to bring Moldova in, we need to bring many other countries into the European Union, because this is a historical momentum. And Europe must be united, must be stronger. And as I said, these grey areas, neutrality and whatever we call it, is just a green light for Putin to continue. That's why I'm waiting for today that the 20th sanction package will be adopted, and it must be strong. And the core of this sanction package is full maritime service ban, and it must be decided today or during the night before tomorrow, because otherwise it's very hard to say for Ukrainians that actually we adopted something which is not actually adopted. But also there is a couple of countries who are blocking everything, but let's see, it's always like this. But we must put more pressure on Russia and also support Ukraine. This 90 billion what we have decided at the end of the last year, we must release that. We must find an agreement between the member states because Ukraine needs this money heavily. And the last thing is about the Estonian proposal what we made a couple of weeks ago to create a blacklist for Schengen about Russian combatants. They are very bad guys, and they will come to Europe. And my question is that whether Europe is ready for peace. And we are talking about hundreds and hundreds of thousands of combatants who are now executing all these atrocities. And if the peace is coming one day, they all, or most of them, they will come to Europe. And we are not ready for that. So we need to put them already now to this Schengen blacklist. Estonia started this initiative, and now we are coordinating as well amongst the member states of Schengen. And I do hope as well that the next council will say politically that this is our policy of European Union. So
convincing as positive as you on the 20th sanctions package, how are you going to convince the likes of Hungary, which seem to be blocking it?
Yes, this is a traditional situation, but be honest, this reason now that Hungary and Slovaks are saying that Ukraine must recover this pipeline, it's not because of Ukraine. It's because of Russia. It's because of Russia. So there is no actually reason why to block it. And that's why we do hope that we'll somehow find a way, because we need to put more pressure on Russia.
Minister, how likely do you see it that it will pass from today or tonight? Because, as my colleague said, Kaja Kallas was not sure about this. How likely do you see that it will go through?
I'm not sure as well. But also I'm very practical. Sometimes the European Union is able to make decisions. We have a way, but I don't know. Yes.
Minister, France is proposing talks with Russia. What do you think about this? Might this be like a solution to...
Informal council just a week ago or a bit more amongst our leaders discussed informally that there is no point to find somebody who's going to knock the door in Kremlin and ask what Putin wants to get. We know that. He wants to get all Ukraine, he wants to get Europe as well. So there is no reason now to go and talk. So.
Minister, does Hungary and Slovakia position help Russia?
Of course, if we are not able to put the sanction on Russia, then Russia will be happy. Okay, thank you.
About the proposition that Mr. Costa could represent the EU in direct talks with Russia,
there is no such a proposition. So direct talks with Russia is not good for Ukraine right now. Okay, I'm leaving.
Good morning. Yeah, these facts meet at a very, very pivotal moment at the eve of the 4th anniversary of the Russian war of aggression against Ukraine. I was in Ukraine last week for my first time as a commissioner, and I witnessed firsthand the situation over there, the war of terror that Russia is waging against Ukraine. I visited critical infrastructure, energy infrastructure, while we were under raid alerts. We had to go in an underground shelter. I visited hospitals where surgeons are trying to save lives with very limited means. And for all these reasons, it's very important to stay committed. And the EU is committed. We were able to evacuate so far 5,000 patients, severely wounded patients, thanks to Medevac, our UCPM mechanism. We went there with 11,000 generators to keep the infrastructure running. And I think my messages to the minister will be: stay the course, stay committed,
it's very important to support Ukrainians in this very important period. And also, when it comes to financial support, we allocate 1.8 billion euros through our Ukrainian energy support facility and 1 billion on emergency gas. I was also in the Great Lakes region just after Ukraine with a clear humanitarian mandate to defend human rights and humanitarian principles. So my objective was to turn humanitarian advocacy into concrete results, to ask for humanitarian access and to protect civilians but also humanitarian workers. I went to Congo DRC, to Burundi and to Rwanda. I met the three presidents and also the representatives of M23 AFC. All of them agreed on the need to respect international humanitarian law, and they committed to work on the accessibility of humanitarian aid. So now the test is to transform this commitment on a real and concrete action on the ground. Yesterday they started to talk about how to reopen Goma's airport for humanitarian transport. So I think that we are on a good track. The EU also stay committed. We are becoming the first humanitarian actor with 81.2 million. But for this million to transform a real alleviation of the suffering for the people, we need to have unhindered humanitarian access. Thank you very much.
This flower today, what does it mean?
These flowers?
Yeah,
it means that we stand with Ukraine. We will support Ukraine as long as it takes. Thank you. Hello. How are you?
Hello. How are you doing?
Good.
You said we support Ukraine as long as it takes. Can you tell us about the EU support that you are preparing in the overall plan, the prosperity pact for Ukraine, that if possible deal with peace deal has been achieved?
I'm not going to comment on this. This is much more Commissioner Koss who's traveling over there.
And about the direct support that you give, we hear a lot about the energy crisis.
Yeah.
Is there something you are doing?
Yes. We already transported 11,000 generators, 1,000 very recently because of the strikes on critical infrastructures. So this is something, and also 1 billion emergency gas and 1.8 billion euros for Ukraine energy support facility.
The last thing about the second wave in Gaza plan.
Yeah.
How do you see it going? The Rafah mission and possible another mission. I will ask about Rafah mission.
Rafah mission.
Yes, to monitor Rafah crossing Ukraine.
Yeah, so the crossing point is open, but not enough. I mean, aid is entering drop by drop. There are some progress, but still there are still strikes every day. So far, 600 humanitarian workers have been killed. Citizens are killed and injured every day because of the strikes. So the first phase is not fully implemented. So we still need to work on this first phase before talking about the second one. Thank you.
So, guten Morgen, meine sehr verehrten Damen und Herren. Ja, das Arbeitsjahr hat begonnen. Die Europäische Union hat große Aufgaben vor sich und die müssen wir nacheinander abarbeiten, und das werden wir auch in dieser Woche wieder erneut versuchen. Was steht im Mittelpunkt der Beratungen jetzt bei unserem Treffen heute und auch bei den weiteren Treffen im Verlauf der weiteren Woche? Natürlich die weitere Unterstützung der Ukraine. Wir werden uns heute noch einmal mit unserem Kollegen Sibiya zusammenschalten. Die deutsche Position ist ganz klar. Wir müssen jetzt Festigkeit zeigen. Wir müssen die Ukraine nachhaltig unterstützen. Und wir müssen genau das machen, was wir auch im vergangenen Jahr getan haben, weiter den Druck auf Russland erhöhen. Deswegen arbeiten wir intensiv an dem 20. Sanktionspaket. Und ich bin auch sicher, dass wir am Ende des Tages erfolgreich sein werden. Alle Probleme, die es gibt, sind zu bewältigen. Mit Klarheit, mit Festigkeit an der Seite der Ukraine, mit einer klaren europäischen Orientierung. Ich bin über die ungarische Position erstaunt. Wir werden mit unseren ungarischen Kollegen darüber diskutieren. Ich glaube nicht, dass es richtig ist, wenn Ungarn seinen eigenen Kampf für die Freiheit, für die europäische Souveränität verrät. Und deswegen werden wir hier auch mit unseren Argumenten noch einmal in Budapest, aber auch natürlich hier in Brüssel an die Ungarn herantreten, dass man die Position überdenkt. Denn am Ende sollte ein Blick in die Geschichte zeigen, dass es richtig ist, europäisch orientiert zu bleiben. Gerade wir Deutsche haben Ungarn viel zu verdanken. Wir wissen das. Und wir wissen auch, dass Ungarn am Ende des Tages sich immer für die Freiheit entschieden hat. Und das sollte auch jetzt die richtige Orientierung geben. Ich glaube, dass das ganze Jahr schon, das kurze Jahr, das wir jetzt erlebt haben, gezeigt hat, dass jetzt die Stunde Europas geschlagen hat. Und deswegen wird die Bundesregierung auch diesen Kurs weiterverfolgen, für europäische Souveränität zu sorgen. Und das heißt, es ist auch ein Prozess des sich Erarbeitens. Die geschieht nicht durch Knopfdruck, sondern die geschieht durch Geschlossenheit, durch Klarheit und durch Orientierung an unseren europäischen Interessen. Das hat die Diskussion gezeigt, die wir über Grönland hatten. Das hat die Diskussion gezeigt, die wir in der Zolldiskussion mit den Vereinigten Staaten von Amerika schon in den vergangenen Tagen hatten. Und genauso werden wir auch mit Selbstbewusstsein, mit der Orientierung an europäischen Interessen in die nächsten Diskussionen hineingehen.
Herr Minister, eine Frage zu der Unterstützung an die Ukraine.
Ja.
Also Deutschland ist ja da der größte Geldgeber und vor allem seitdem Amerika nicht mehr zahlt. Es gibt immer weniger andere, die dazu beitragen. Kann das so weitergehen?
Ja, also wir sind ständig diejenigen, die klar machen, die Ukraine verteidigt nicht nur ihre eigene Freiheit und Souveränität, sondern die europäische Freiheit und Souveränität. Und deswegen werden wir immer wieder die Advokaten der Ukraine sein und werden auch wieder allen deutlich machen, das ist nicht nur eine Auseinandersetzung, die an der ukrainischen Front oder in den ukrainischen Städten gekämpft werden muss, sondern überall in Europa. Und wir brauchen deshalb europäische Souveränität. Wir werden jetzt sehr stark dafür werben, dass wir einerseits natürlich die militärische Unterstützung stärken, aber eben auch die Energieinfrastruktur der Ukraine zu stärken haben werden. Und ich glaube, da gibt es auch ein größeres Feld, wo wir Unterstützerinnen und Unterstützer generieren können. Die Coalition of the Willing ist ja sehr viel größer. Sie geht über Europa hinaus. Und da gibt es immer eine eindeutig deutsche Position dazu.
Herr Außenminister, eine Frage. Frankreich hat Ihnen vorgeschlagen, Gespräche mit Russland aufzunehmen. Für wie zielführend halten Sie diesen Vorschlag zum jetzigen Zeitpunkt? Braucht es eine andere Strategie über Sanktionen und Waffenlieferungen möglicherweise hinaus?
Ja, unsere Strategie ist ja vollkommen klar. Wir wollen dazu beitragen, dass es eine Einigung geben kann. Aber sie scheitert ja an dem völligen Unwillen Russlands, ernsthafte Gespräche zu führen. Und solange nicht auf russischer Seite erkennbar ist, dass man ernsthaft kompromissbereit ist, müssen wir keine Selbstzweifel haben in Europa, sondern unsere Offenheit ist immer da, Gespräche zu führen. Und ich glaube, zu viele Gesprächsangebote an Russland können dort nur den Eindruck erwecken, dass man mit noch mehr Sturheit immer mehr Zugeständnisse erreicht, und das wäre das falsche Signal.
Minister, what do you think about possible summit between President Zelensky, Vladimir Putin and maybe President Trump? And should Europe be represented also at this possible event?
No, I do not see any readiness on the Russian side to really, in the substance, come to a compromise. So as long as this is not the case, in our view, we should be ready, of course, for talks, and President Zelensky is ready for talks, but it is still on Russia to show that they will, in substance, be giving something to Ukraine. This is for I would say this year still the case, and Europe should be on Ukraine's side. We are the supporters of Ukraine, and if Russia and if Mr. Putin was ready for talks, it's on Mr. Zelensky to come together with him, and please do not put in question what Europe's position is in this very situation. It is clear alongside with Ukraine. Thank you so much.
Dzień dobry Państwu. Rada do Spraw Zagranicznych Unii Europejskiej spotyka się w przeddzień 4. rocznicy rosyjskiej inwazji na Ukrainę, więc pierwszy temat jest oczywisty. Będziemy mówili o tym, jak pomóc dzielnie walczącej Ukrainie, jak wprowadzić dodatkowe sankcje także na flotę złomu, przez niektórych nazywaną flotą cienia. Ale na agendzie też inne ważne sprawy, takie jak dezinformacja czy sytuacja na Bliskim Wschodzie. To będą główne tematy obrad.
Panie ministrze, jak pan ocenia postawę Viktora Orbana, który chce zablokować zarówno pożyczkę dla Ukrainy, której Węgry nie chcą finansować, ale także 20 pakiet sankcyjny? No, Polska zrezygnowała z drużby w 2023 roku. 4 lata minęły. Cały czas Węgrzy nas przekonują, że nie są w stanie poradzić sobie z Rosją.
To jest oburzające, ale nie zaskakujące, bo przypominam, że Węgry już blokują